All right, everyone. We are live. We are live. We are live. Keep coming in. Keep coming in. We're going to get started. I'm about to get some people up in here, right? People that I know definitely want to be on. Um, just letting them know live just started. It started. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Invite everyone you know. Share this with everyone you know. Get as many people on here as possible. We are going to talk credit this evening. I'm going to do something great. I'm going to open up the waves. You can chat in here, ask any questions that you want. You are welcome. We are going to definitely answer your questions when it comes to credit. Anything you want to know when it comes to credit, you can ask. So invite everybody you know, get as many people on as possible. Anyone you think might really want to learn about credit, know about credit, how to repair their own credit, fix their credit, all of that we're going to do tonight. So this is workshop 5, credit repair, right? This is workshop 5, credit repair. So that is extremely powerful. Super excited about tonight and what is going on. And so we, like I said, get as many people on as possible. We're going to talk about credit all night long. Okay. So credit is what we are going to deal with this evening. All right. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask those questions. Please feel free. There's no question that is dumb. There's no question that is stupid. There's no question that you don't want to ask. So make sure that you're asking questions. Any questions that you might have, think about them, write them down, and bring them forward. Put them in the chat, and feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Okay, so this is going to be a very good night for that. I'm going to share a lot of information about credit tonight. A lot of people are unaware of how credit works, what it does for you, how good it is for you, actually in every aspect of what it is that you're doing. But we're also going to talk about the proper way of dealing with credit, right? Because what we don't want to do, we want to end up in the wealth cycle, not the debt cycle. Okay. And remember, those that are in the debt cycle spend credit, they use credit, and what happens? Their balances, their credit card balances grow. They end up with higher interest payments and less money. Whereas those in the wealth cycle, they master credit, they invest credit, or they get the highest credit score that they can have. Their personal bank balances grow. Now they're getting interest payments instead of paying interest, and their income continues to grow. And so we want to move to that cycle. And so we're going to deal with that tonight. Like I said, introduce and get as many people on as possible. I'm going to definitely, we're going to get started in 1 second, but I want to preface this with Mr. Dummy, because now my credit score is my credit score, I got it from a 564 all the way up to a 730. And so I want to also be able to share with you how I did that. But who I used to be and what I used to do was I was Mr. Dummy. And I want to play this for you so you can really understand and see who Mr. Dummy was. So here we go.
Dummy is me, so please don't get offended as I talk about myself. Mr. Dummy was good at making money. Mr. Dummy would make a lot of money and then lose a lot of money. Mr. Dummy would make a lot of money and spend a lot of money. Mr. Dummy would make money and invest money himself and therefore lose more money. Then one day, Mr. Dummy learned a very important lesson that millionaires and billionaires do not invest their money. They have high caliber experts that invest their money for them. Mr. Dummy again thought he was smart and tried to find experts that could invest his money for him. But he found that the average experts were low caliber investors and could only get a minimal return on Mr. Dummy's money. That's when Mr. Dummy ran into a group of experts that were the same caliber of investors as Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Bill Gates' caliber of investors. Now Mr. Dummy has a clear path to billion-dollar status. Mr. Dummy became Mr. Smart once he realized he was smart at making money, but not an expert in investing money. If you would like access to these investors, please like or comment.
Exactly. So basically, what I wanted you to get out of that video was the fact that, right, sometimes we end up thinking that we know something when we really don't. And so what we want to do is we want to allow the experts to actually do what it is that they do, and we do what it is that we do. As I stated, the majority of our people, we are very good at making money. We are masters, not just good at it. We are masters at making money. I want you to be clear on that, like for real. We are masters at making money. Okay. But I want you to be clear. A lot of times we're not good at saving. Investing money, right? And we're not good at other areas or understand. It's not even the fact that we're not good at it. We just literally do not understand it. So we allow the experts in their field to do what they're good at, and we continue to do what we're good at, and that way we end up being wealthy. And if you look at anyone that's wealthy, that's exactly what they do, right? And so what we want to do is we want to understand credit, but we're going to allow the experts to fix our credit for us. We're just going to follow a simple system that works, and that's what I did, right? I allowed the experts to write my letters and put everything in the wording that was necessary to get the stuff off my credit report. I just followed the system in order to get to the point where it worked, right? So I want you to be clear that these are the tactics that the wealthy use in order to win. And so this is exactly what we want to do. Okay. And so we're going to move forward. Even when it came to credit, for years, I was trying to repair my credit, get people to do it that didn't know what they were doing, this, and that. And I never got my credit repaired. But when I finally got with the experts that knew what they were doing with credit, I got my credit repaired. It's the same thing with this. And so let's talk about, and I helped. And then not only did I do that, I helped hundreds of people repair their credit as well. So I totally understand credit repair, right? Not only did I do it, I have testimonies of hundreds of people that actually did the same thing I did. I walked them through the process of doing exactly what I did, and their credit, I've got people whose credit scores went from 400s to 700s. I got people that went from 500s to 800s. So this is, when I'm saying you can ask all the questions you want, you can do anything you want on here. You could just ask questions. I'm gonna pause in between to help people and walk them through the process. This is going to be a very drawn out version of credit repair. We're gonna go through several subjects. If you have any credit issues, I will help you and walk you through them. If you are watching this and you're not live with us, then you are good to go. Clara, do I still have an echo going on? If I do, please let me know. If I still have an echo, please let me know. If not, please let me know that I don't. One way or the other, I need to know whether I have an echo or not, okay? Okay, great. So no echo, that's beautiful, that's perfect. I'm glad to hear it. All right, so what I want to do now is okay, great, I'm clear, outstanding. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aviva, for letting me know that. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to move into the next portion of this, which is going to be the actual information. Okay. And so I'm about to share some information with you all right now. So tonight, we're going to get into is, do you want to fix your credit, but you don't have the time? Okay. A lot of people don't have the time, nor do they have the knowledge to fix their credit. If you do, then you're going to learn a lot just from paying attention to what we're sharing tonight. But if you do have a question, right, or if you do want to repair your credit, or if you don't have the time to do it, then for more information, text more to 833-740-2315. Okay. Now, do you want to fix your credit but you don't have the time? This is an important question. The other thing that you're going to learn is how to get approved for an auto loan and also a home loan. And here's the key thing with the auto and the home loan. I want you to get this, is that with the auto loan and the home loan, right, you're going to get, we even have home loans now where you don't even need credit. So if you want more information on that, right, then what I want you to do is text home, HOME, to 833-740-2315. So if you want to know how to be able to get a house without a credit check, right, with no credit, then text home to 833-740-2315. This is very important for our renters, people in those type of situations, because we can get you in a home. And it's already been proven that a person that has a home, their net worth goes usually from $5,000 to $6,000 to $200,000, right? Just from that. So, how to get an approved for an auto loan or a home loan as well, right? Now, we also say visit our channel. And I'm about to do a drive because I want 100 subscribers to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is called Let's Talk Credit. I'm asking everyone to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, right? Like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe. Okay. It's very important that we do that. All right. Very important that we go there and we subscribe. We like and we subscribe. We like and we subscribe. Okay. We greatly appreciate those that like and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate you beyond appreciation. Thank you so much for everybody that comes, that attends regularly, that likes our channel, that subscribes. All of you on Facebook, that's on Twitter, on Twitch, that's on Instagram. All of you all that attend and love our live, we definitely appreciate you beyond appreciation. Okay. So we want to definitely give shots out for that as well. Now, let's get into the information. The worst mistake that I made, right, was actually trying to repair my own credit. As I already said, that was the worst mistake. Why? Because I was Mr. Dummy. What does Mr. Dummy always try to do? What Mr. Dummy always tries to do is do it himself. The wealthy, the different, remember when we went through yesterday, we went through the cash flow quadrant, right? And in the different quadrants, you have the E and the S, the B and the I. Everybody, you want to get from the left side of the quadrant, which is the E and the S, to the B and the I, right? Unless you just want to stay over in the E and the S, that's fine. The difference between the E and the S and the B and the I is that the E and the S always try to do everything by themselves. The employee is always trying to do everything by themselves. That's their error, right? The wealthy always have a team of experts working with them, right? So the E and the B and the I, the businessman or the business system owner and the investor, right, always have someone working with them. So if you missed our workshop from last night, you need to go see that. That's workshop 4, right? You need to see that as well, right? So the investor is working with us as well, right? They always have a team of experts working on their behalf. This is key. So when trying to get your credit repaired, I was Mr. Dummy. I tried to do it myself. Once I got the team of experts to do it for me, guess what happened? My credit was repaired. Why? Not because I couldn't repair my own credit. but because they knew what they were doing. They're experts. This is what they do every day, inside and out. In order to become a master at anything, you have to do it for 10,000 hours. I don't have 10,000 hours to work on my credit, period. So I don't have 10,000 hours to become a master at that. I master what I do. They master what they do. Get the people that have mastered what they do in order for them to do what it is that you're trying to do so that you can win quicker and continue doing what you're successful at. This is the key. So that was error number one. I want you to get that. But it's okay to repair your own credit if you want to. I'm not saying don't. If you got the time to do it and you're going to take them 10,000 hours to make the mistakes, trials, and tribulations and go through all that and take about 6 to 8 months or a year to repair your credit, that's fine. But when you're ready to do it in a month to 2 months, then let's go get the experts and let's get it done. Okay. And that's usually what it takes the experts, about a month to 2 months, 3 months at the max, usually, to get your credit repaired. That's number one. The next thing is, what is stopping the average person from getting their credit repaired, right? And when I talk to people that have not gotten their credit repaired, it's not the fact that they actually tried to repair their credit and it failed. That wasn't the issue. The issue many times was that they actually just didn't know how to repair their credit. Right? They just didn't know. I mean, they just didn't have the know how. Right? They didn't know how to repair their credit. So because they didn't know how to repair their credit, right? What happened was those individuals, right? Hold 1 second for me. I do apologize. Those individuals, they had an issue as well, right? So those individuals didn't know how to repair their credit. They also had a problem. Okay. So what it is it's the unknown. Okay. The unknown stops a lot of people. Okay. Money stops a lot of people. They think it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. It doesn't cost that much actually to get your credit repaired. Time, some people don't have the time, right? And then some people believe their credit score is good. And I'm going to let you know something that a lot of people do not know. But I'm going to tell you this, and we're going to see it as we go through this process. And that is, most people think that a 600 credit score is good. Okay. I'm going to repeat. Most people think that a 600 credit score is a good credit score. That is not a good credit score. Right. So a 200, they'll think that a 600 score is a good credit score, or a 650 or a 680. Those really aren't good credit scores. And I'm going to show you this as a fact, right? Directly from the Bureau's credit scores, the FICO and the Vantage score. You're going to be able to see that these credit scores are not good credit scores. You have to be up to 729 in order to have a good credit score, for real, right? And so we want to get you to that 730, 750, 800 credit score. And this is very important because I told you, as we stated before, right? We saw before that in the wealth cycle, the wealthy master credit. They're going to get those 750s, 780s, 800s and hold those scores so that they can get the lowest interest rates when they're going to buy something, when they're going to invest their credit into something that's going to give them what? A return on a return on investment. So that ROI that they're looking for, right? And utilizing their credit to get the lowest interest rate. Why? Because what they're getting paid has to equal more than the interest and the loan that they're going to be getting. So they want to get the lowest interest rate to be able to pay off that bill as quick as possible so that they're getting the highest amount of profit. And this is how we want to utilize our credit. So we never spend credit to keep up with the Joneses, right? We don't spend credit on bills that we don't already have the money for. In other words, I'm not going to go out and use my credit card to pay my gas and electric bill if I don't have the money to pay the gas and electric bill. I'm only going to use my credit card to pay my gas and electric bill if I got the money that I'm going to put on the credit card once I pay it, so that I'm paying the credit card off so I can get my score to go higher. That's how we use our credit properly. Now your score is going up. You only use credit in place of cash that you already have. It seems like defeating the purpose, doesn't it? But it doesn't, because when you start mastering the other workshops that we already went through and you start understanding those workshops, you will understand that you will be able to buy assets and leverage the debt. And now you can make payments on it, but your interest that's coming in from your assets is going to be higher than what you're making the payment on that card. You're paying your card off on time, keeping your score up. And we want to make sure that we keep the debt to credit ratio at the right level. So we're going to talk about the debt to credit ratio tonight also. We're also going to talk about payment history. We're also going to talk about inquiries, right? And we're going to understand, and we're going to talk about time and length of credit. We're going to understand these components and how to utilize those components in order for us to win at credit. And I'm going to take my time. I'm not rushing through this. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. We're going to take time tonight. All right. So now, next thing we're going to look at is the most important lesson that I learned, which is what? Your debts and your credit report have nothing to do with each other. This is very important to understand. First thing I want you to understand is it is your credit report and not their credit report. This was the greatest thing I learned ever in my life. What does that mean? That means you can determine what goes on your credit report and what doesn't go on your credit report. How many people knew that? Did you know that? Did you know that you determine what can go on your credit report and what doesn't go on your credit report? That's extremely powerful information. Many things that are on your credit report actually are there illegally, meaning they're going against credit report policy. Were you aware of that? That's extremely important, right? That's extremely important to understand. Okay. So a lot of people are going, a lot of companies are going right against the credit report, right? They're going against those policies. Okay. Now, what's reported, right, on your credit report, and then what's not reported on your credit report, you have total control over. That was the great, once I learned that, now I understood I was in total control of my credit report. But there's one more thing that we're going to have to learn, right, on that before we move forward and truly understand that. So 9 of the worst items on your credit report, right? These are the things that are the worst items that could be on your credit report. Charge-offs. This means you stop paying on an account for 6 months or more. And we're going to deal a little bit. I think you'll get a better understanding of that when we get into payment history. Next, bankruptcy, credit destruction and not credit repair. Meaning, a lot of people think that bankruptcy is actually fixing their credit, is making things better. It's not. Bankruptcy is actually credit destruction. It is not credit repair. I want you to repeat after me. Bankruptcy is credit destruction and not credit repair. Hey, what's going on, Diggs? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here with us on Twitch. Welcome to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So, again, credit destruction. So, bankruptcy is credit destruction, not credit repair. This is extremely important to get. Right? Most people believe that bankruptcy repairs your credit. Right? Let me type this in. What's up, Diggs? Let make sure he gets that. It's good to see you. All right. So now we got we definitely want to understand that. So Clara has a question. Let me see what that question is. Can you tell us how we can receive our credit report so we cannot come off? You mean so that what we can get off of there? Is that what you mean, Clara? Can you tell us how we can receive our credit report? Yes. I will tell you how you can receive your credit report. There are different ways to do it. Since you're already planning on working with our system, Clara, I want you to wait till we do that, and then I will walk you through that process of how to do it. However, for the average person that just wants to pull their credit and get the real numbers of their credit, you can go to free annual credit report, and they will pull your credit report for you. You can get your TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. However, what I advise you to do is go to free annual credit report, get your TransUnion, and then create an account at Experian.com and Equifax.com and pull your credit reports there because you're going to get the exact numbers. TransUnion just doesn't have it. You can go to their website and get it for free, but they do. So you can get those. Those are real numbers. What you're not going to get, though, you're not going to get your auto score. You're not going to. So, in other words, there's different scores that companies see when you go to get different things. So, your insurance score, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get your auto score. You're not going to get that from these agencies. You're not going to get your it's another score that you need, your hiring score, right? So, you're not going to get those scores. You need to know those numbers as well. And so that's a paid monitoring service. So that's why I advise everybody to utilize the services that we're talking about, right? In order to monitor your credit. So monitoring services, good ones, not like Credit Karma. I would not use that. But a very good monitoring service will do you fine with that, okay? That's important. Let me go back. Let me see. Okay, we did that. Now, next, third parties do not pay them. So collections. These are now collections are third party. Whenever you see a third party collection, you do not pay these. In other words, these will be companies that show up on your credit report and you've never heard of them before. That means what they did, and I'm going to tell you why you don't pay these companies. What these companies did, they actually paid your debt for you. Right? Let's say you owed a company, and they paid the debt for you, right? Let's say I owed gas and electric, and uh gas and electric stole my, I'm not, didn't steal. They sold my account to a third party. What the third party is betting that you don't know that you don't owe them any money. So what they'll do is they'll call and harass you, trying to get you to believe that you owe them money. You don't. They paid your debt for you. They already paid your debt. So therefore, you're not going to pay the third party collector because they already paid your debt. You need to thank them and say, thank you for paying my debt. Please don't call me anymore. I don't give you any right to call me anymore. And when you do that, they are going to take your name off their list. If they call you back, they can get in trouble for that. So you let them know, no, I don't owe you any money. Please do not call me. I don't give you any right to call me back anymore. And they're not going to call you anymore. And these come off of your credit report because you literally do not owe these companies any money. They cannot prove that you owe them any money. I want you to be clear on that. You don't owe them any money. So these collections are going to come off. Collections. These are collections. That's different than charge-offs. Charge-offs are where the company, you do owe them, but the company, right, is saying that they're saying that you owe them. Collections are where these companies sell it to a third party, and now the third party is trying to come and collect, and they're betting on your stupidity. They're betting on your ignorance, that you don't know that you don't owe them no money. That's what they're doing. And 99% of people do not know that they don't owe the third party any money. Right? So you don't ever answer any of their questions. You don't get in a conversation with them. You tell them, I don't owe you any. Who are you? I don't owe you your company any money. I don't give you the right to call me anymore. That's the only conversation you're to have with them. Any other conversation, you could lock yourself into a position where you legally owe them money. So you definitely do not want to end up owing that third party any money, right? That is the goal, not to owe the third party any money whatsoever, period. Right? And this is very important. That's a very important thing that I see a lot of people fumble the ball with because they're afraid of these scammers and they don't owe these scammers anything at all. And they know the language to put you in fear. They know what they're doing. They know the language to put you in fear, right? So the next thing, right? The next thing that we want to talk about is foreclosures, okay? Now, foreclosures, right? You could not pay the mortgage. Okay. That's what basically a foreclosure is. You couldn't pay the mortgage. A lot of times these end up in third parties, right? However, we can work to get those off. A lot of times we can get those off, right? Tax lien. That means defunct taxes against your property. Okay. Now, these are the worst things that can be on there, but we get these off. Judgments. First party company is taking you to court, right? No longer allowed on credit reports. So judgments, once they take you to court, they're no longer allowed to put it on your credit report. Remember, I told you your credit report has nothing to do with your debts. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm going to share with you why in a minute. Garnishments. First party company is taking you to court, also no longer allowed on credit reports. That means they're going to come off. That means your credit score can go up even though you have a judgment or a garnishment against you. I want you to be clear. That's a good thing. Student loans. First party company is taking you to court. These right here, you might want to pay off, but what we advise is that you consolidate it. Make and create. That's going to, because what's going to happen is when you consolidate it, it's usually going to go to a third party type organization, and now you're in good standing, so you can knock the bad standing off and you end up in good standing. You got what I'm saying? So sometimes you want to make a deal where you can start paying this off. Okay, with the student loan. That student loan is one that's difficult to get off your credit report. That's the one of the harder ones. It's extremely hard. The other ones that I've already talked about, they're not usually hard to get off. There are a lot of times they'll come off. But these student loans, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Usually we're going to have to go to your LexisNexis report, because there's more, and we're going to talk about that tonight. There's more than 3 credit bureaus. There's actually about 6 or 7 of them. So we're going to talk about the other credit bureaus as well. And sometimes you need to freeze those, because the 3 regular ones will utilize the other ones as well. So for instance, companies that utilize the LexisNexis, the companies that we like TransUnion and Equifax, they'll go look at your Lexus to pull from it to put stuff on it. So if you freeze it or you lock down your LexisNexis, once you learn how to do that, then what happens is a lot of times those things will fall off your credit report because they won't show up because they're utilizing LexisNexis. But if you don't know LexisNexis exists, if you don't know the other Innovis and all of those other bureaus, now you're stuck thinking you only got those 3 bureaus. And a lot of people get stuck in that situation, right? So next, hospital bills. Hospital bills cannot stay on your credit report longer than 2 years, right? So your hospital bills cannot stay on your credit report longer than 2 years. So if you got hospital bills that are older than 2 years, those have to come off. But we've been bad stewards with our credit report. So we never tried to get that stuff off of there. See, let me explain something to you. This is what I was saying back here when I said what goes on and what comes off. See, the companies are responsible for putting information on your credit report, right? You can't hear me, April. Can everybody else hear me? Can you all hear me? If you can, please type in the chat that you can hear me. You shouldn't have a problem hearing me. Can you hear me? Okay. All right, great. All right, good. All right, good. As long as you guys can hear me, we are good. So again, hospital bills can't stay on your credit report longer than 2 years, right? So what I was saying is we've been bad stewards. Why? Because for instance, the credit card companies are actually putting you in a situation where they're actually putting the bad on your credit report. But when you pay them, they don't have to take it off. They're not worried about taking it off your credit report. You think that they put it on and then they take it off when it's fixed and no, it is your responsibility to take it off. It's your credit report. Did you know? So, in other words, what we did was we allowed them to put this stuff on our credit report, because you can lock your credit report where they can't put nothing on it. So, you allowed them to put this stuff on your credit report, but they're not going to take it off. You have to take it off. And so that's why we say go to the experts to get all this stuff up off your credit report, right? So now you're going to get this stuff off your credit report. So cannot stay on your credit report longer than 2 years. Okay? That's the next thing. Hospital bills can't. And so as you use the experts to wipe your credit report, then you're going to win. So we're going to level up our credit, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F. We're going to learn what these mean. So A credit, 800 to 850, and we're talking about the FICO here, right? FICO, 800 to 850. This is exceptional credit. B credit is 740 to 799. Very good. 729 to 729 will keep you in this area as well. You'll be B credit at 729. And I know this for a fact. I'm not just talking. All right, I want you to be clear. C credit is 670 to 739. Here, this is good credit, right? 670 to 739. All right, I want you to get that. And really, it's 680 to get into good credit, 680 and above. Great, no problem, Claire. We're going to get you a lot of help, okay? 67 to 739. Now, the next thing is 580, right? 580 to 669 is fair credit. But a lot of people, this is D credit. So people be like, I got a 600, 660, 650. They think they got good credit. Man, they are getting raped on interest rates. See, this is what happens. When you hit a 600 credit score, about a 630, 650, you can start getting credit, but they're going to rape you with the interest rate, right? You're going to get hit for interest like nobody's business, right? So you don't want to have that happen, right? We don't want where you get hit with the interest rates, right? That's going to hurt you, okay? We don't want that to happen. Remember, we want to stay in the wealth cycle, right? So we want to keep our interest rates as low as possible. That's what the wealthy do by mastering their credit. They keep their interest rates as low as possible so that now their balances grow, their bank balances, not their credit debt balances, but their bank balances grow, and they're receiving what? Interest payments versus paying interest. Now they got more income coming in, and this is what we want to do. So our goal, when I said that the wealthy master credit, what the wealthy do is they actually get their credit scores all the way up as high as they can so that they get the lowest interest rate. So 580, people think they got a 650 credit score and they're doing good because they can get some credit, but it doesn't matter because you're losing. So the goal is you need to be up here in the B credit. And like I said, you can get to the B credit at 729. So you need to be at B credit, very good credit, where your interest rates are extremely low, or 800 and above. And so I know we can get you within 2 months. The experts will get you up here. But from there, there's some systems that you follow that'll get you in the 800 and 850 if you just follow those systems. Okay, because you have to build the 800 to 850, and that takes a little bit of time, but it don't matter because you're going to be very good right here, very good. This is optional. I say 800 to 850 is optional, but once you start mastering credit, you're going to automatically end up here. And if you follow what I'm telling you tonight, you're definitely going to end up there, right? Okay, now on the Vantage score, most companies use FICO. So whenever you're going to get credit right now, 99.9% of the time, they're using FICO. So that's why I deal with it. But Vantage might take over one day. So let's look at Vantage because it's a little bit more stringent. All right. So 300 to 499 is very poor. D is 500 to 600. C is 601 to 660. B is 661 to 780, which is good, right? Now, this is their B, which lumps in the 661 to 780 as good. They don't have a very good. So FICO, if you notice, has a good and a very good. And they make a big difference between these levels. A big difference. Not a little different. This is a big jump. From here to here is a big jump. Whereas here, they're going to lump you in. They're going to lump in the very good with the good here. That means unless you have a 780 to 850 in the Vantage, you're going to get raped all the way down on interest rate. So you be happy that most companies use the FICO, because this puts you in a very good, even though that says B here and it says B here, I'm sorry, B here, right? Even though both of them have a B behind it, right? This right here is the credit score. I mean, this right here, excuse me, is good for B, where B on the FICO is very good. When it comes to the Vantage, they have a very poor. There is no very poor on the FICO, right? There's no very poor. It's poor, fair, good, very good, exceptional. So this very good is easy to get into if you have experts doing your credit for you, which is what I advise, is using our system to do that. And it works. Why? Because I'm proof of it. April, that's on this call, is proof, or Viva is on this call, is proof of it. And I've got several other, not several, but yes, I guess you could say several, but like masses of people who can prove that getting your credit from 300 to 730 in a month to 2 months is not hard at all. You just need to have the right tools and have experts that know what they're doing when you do it and follow that system. Right? Follow that system. Now, next, let's go to the next portion. Right? So here we see the level up Vantage. So we see here that we got the poor, right? So we got the level up Vantage again. We got the deep subprime rates. These are rates. The subprime, near prime, prime, and super prime. Okay. I want you to see that. And so you see here that they're going to be different for the different bureaus. So what do we have here? We have poor Equifax 280 to 559, TransUnion 300 to 550, Experian 300 to 499. This is poor. Fair for Equifax 560 to 659, 550 to 649, 500 to 600. So let me show you something. If you got a 560 credit score or a 659 credit score with Equifax, you're in the same place. That's why I said a 600 credit score, people be thinking and I've had this. My credit score is good. What is it? 630? Like, your credit score is terrible, but they don't realize that. You understand what I'm saying? For real. And this is real. We've been tricked and to believe that. Right? So 550 to 649, you're lumped in with D credit. 500 to 600, you're in D credit. Good credit. That's what Experian. Now, Equifax. Equifax is who you go to get a house. I want you to be clear on that. Right? So, C credit, good. 660 to 724. That's C credit to 724. 650 to 699 is C credit. 601 to 660, that's C credit. That's quote good credit. They're going to kill you on rates. You don't realize that, but that interest is going to hit you hard. No, it is assessing. Clara, this is a good question. Good question. Is it assessing a credit score over 1,000? No, it's assessing credit scores go up to 850. So it assesses credit scores from 300. Actually, You see it's lower, it can go 280. I've seen people with even lower scores than this. So as assessing credit scores, I like to say from 0, because I've seen that, from 0 to 700, to 850. That is the credit score. That's the area of credit score that I've seen. 850 is the highest you can get. 0 is the lowest you can get. I've seen 0 literally. Right? So I want you to be clear. That's the level of credit score, okay? So now again we see where it says credit score is good, very good, right? Good, B, very good. So 725, 759, 700, 749, or 661 to 780. That's why I said that 729, you see a 725. 725 will get you into very good credit. Right? So this is key right here. I want you to be clear on that. Okay? This is key. Hold on 1 second. I got somebody hitting me. Let me make sure. Okay, good. We're good. All right. So that is real. Now, the next thing is, so we got that. So now we got excellent from 760 to 850, 750 to 850, and 781 to 850. Super prime. And feel free at any time, anyone, to ask any questions. I'm answering questions. I'm going to deal with you. If you have specific credit situations, you can put that in. Feel free to ask about credit. That's fine. Tonight, ask any questions that you want on credit. Okay, so you can do that. All right, so that's good. Now, one of my streams is having connection issues. Let me make sure everything is good. Can everybody hear me clearly? Am I clear to everyone? Twitch, am I clear? Am I clear, YouTube? Am I clear, Facebook? Please let me know. Please say yes, so I know I can continue. In the chat. Okay, you clear? I'm very clear. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's keep moving. Let us keep moving. Five key calculation components of credit. This is going to be extremely important. Okay, now we're going to go into the 5 key calculation components. So we have payment history, utilization, debt to credit ratio. This is going to be important. The payment history is the most important. There's nothing more important than payment history. Payment history is the only thing on your credit report you cannot control once you mess it up. You control it until you don't make a payment on time. So you always make your minimum payment. I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. Utilization is your debt to credit ratio. This is the second most important thing, but you can control this at any time you want. Length of credit is very important. It's becoming more important than it used to be even. New credit inquiries and types of credit. Credit inquiries are bad if you get turned down. Right? So they're bad if you get turned down. And then types of credit. Okay? You need different types of credit. Payment history comprises 35% of your score. Okay? Now, minimum payment. Like I said, this is the key. That's why we have a key here. This is the key to the program. The minimum payment is key, right? Because the minimum payment, what it does is it actually makes sure that you never go into defunct with anybody you're paying. So in other words, If I have a minimum payment on my credit, see, credit cards especially, they report every single payment to your credit report. They are masters. I want you to understand the credit card industry are masters at credit. What do I mean by that? They follow every single rule that the bureau requires them to follow in order to win. Right? So the credit bureaus know you need to be utilizing the minimum payment, right? So this is extremely important to understand here, right? Now, the other thing that I want you to get on minimum payment is that if you do the minimum payment, there is no way that anybody can ever hurt your credit report as long as you're making your minimum payments or your payments on time. Do everything in your power to make sure your payments are on time. The reason, and this is what I was going to explain to you. Remember, I said your debts have nothing to do with your credit report, right? The reason I say that is this, because the reason when you're disputing your credit report, you are not disputing whether you owe or do not owe the company. Don't ever believe you're disputing that. No matter what they're writing, no matter what the letter says that you're sending in, you are never, ever disputing whether you owe this or not. What you are disputing is, did the companies that say I owe them money, did they follow the rules that keep them compliant, that allows them to keep this on my credit report? That is all you're doing. So this becomes a tennis match. It's just like going into court. It actually is. It's summary judgment. It's exactly what it is. Right? So what is summary judgment? Summary judgment is when I send a letter in, I'm asking for summary judgment if this company does not prove this, this, and this by this time. If they don't prove it by that time, summary judgment says I won the case. If they come back and respond, then they're asking for summary judgment, and that is they won the case. It stays on your credit report. So then we send that back to the experts. The experts we send us a letter to send to the bureaus, and then we're doing it again until somebody defaults. Usually the average person defaults because what? Most people are professional quitters. So because most people are professional quitters, they allow these companies to beat them. That's it. It is that simple. If you just follow the process until you win, you will win. The only companies that you're not going to win against, for the most part, are credit card companies, because their records are immaculate. They know and keep up to date with everything that they're supposed to do with the credit bureaus. So make sure you make your minimum payment because they are in compliance. So you're not going to beat them. So make sure you make your minimum payment, because late payments, as we're going to see, stay on your credit report for 7 years. So late payment history comprises 35% of your score. That means it's the biggest chunk. It's the biggest chunk of your score. There is no part of your score that is bigger than late payment, right? That means you want to make sure it is immaculate. That's why, even though right now I got my debt to credit ratio maxed out, and I'm going to teach y'all a trick on that. I got my debt to credit credit ratio maxed out. Even though I do, my credit score keeps going up because my payment history is immaculate. So when I want to go to get my credit, when I pay off all my credit, which I plan to do very shortly, when I do that, my credit score is going to jump above where it was before. Because now I got payment history that is perfect. And that's what you want. Make sure your payment history, this is the most important thing to get. That's why I'm harping on it. Because if you master payment history, you can control everything else on your credit report. This is the only thing they got power over. Because once it's done, it is done. You can't wipe it. You have to actually go beg the credit card companies to remove it. And some of them will, and some of them won't. So it is the only thing that they control once it's on your credit report. There's some other games we might be able to play to get it off, but they're hard. So you want to make sure your payment history is right. That is it. That's the most important thing. If you get that, you win. Late payment history. You have 30-day late, 60-day late, 90-day late, 120-day late. Charge off and collections. Remember, 6 months. Anything after 6 months, charge off, or they can sell it to collections, right? So you can get it charged off or sold to collections. If they sell it to collections, that's a beautiful thing. That's coming off. That's the third party. You don't owe them no money. But charge offs are a beast, right? And it all has to do with what? Late payment history. The longer, the more impact on the credit score, meaning 30-day lates are not as bad as 120-day lates. But they can be when you're going to get a real item like a house or a car. Why? Because, in other words, if I'm going to go get a card from Walmart, or if I'm going to go get a credit card, they're not going to physically look at my credit report. They're going to have an algorithm that's going to look at it and look at some measurements and say, okay, good, give them the credit card. But when you have underwriters looking at your credit report, they're looking at this for real. They're saying, oh, you got 2 30-day lates. You might not have the money. You might be overdrawn right now. You might not have the money to be able to really handle this mortgage. You got 90-day lates. Oh, no, we ain't dealing with you. That makes a big difference when you're trying to get some real items versus a different type of item. Now you're blessed. We do have a system inside of what we're offering where you can actually get a house with no credit check, right? Which is a beautiful thing. And again, if you want more information on that, as we always say, text more, or you can text home actually on this one. You can text home to 833-740-2315. You can text more, but text home to 833-740-2315 for more information on that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and continue again. We're going to move forward. And so the longer this on your credit score, the more impact, right? So late payment history is important. Now, let's continue. The power of it is what? It stays on your credit report for 7 years. That is super impactful. This right here is devastating, right? This will stay on your credit report for 7 years. Okay. So what does that mean? What that means is that over these 7 years, you're not going to be able, it's going to stop you from getting credit, right? For 7 years. This is like having a bankruptcy on your credit report. Late payments are bad. They're not good. Those are very bad things to have on your credit report. Late payment, right? And again, the only people that can get late payments off, there might be a couple little things we might be able to do. But the only people that are really going to be able to get late payments off of your credit report until they are sent to collections is the credit bureaus themselves. I mean, not the credit bureau, excuse me. The company that has the late payment on there themselves. So I want you to understand, if you can make that minimum payment, that is the best thing you can ever do. The minimum payment. Don't worry about paying the whole thing off. Make sure you make that minimum payment first. If you can pay the whole thing off, it's great because that's going to help you with your debt to credit ratio, which we're going to talk about next, right? So we don't want anything that's going to stay on your credit report for 7 years, especially something that has 35% impact on your credit report. 35%. So imagine it's tearing down for 7 years, 35% of your credit report. So you only got 65% of your credit report left that can balance this out. That's very important to understand, right? Now, dispute process on open accounts, meaning you have late payment history, and inside of this late payment history, you have a dispute process, right? I mean, excuse me, you have an open accounts. These means you still utilizing the card. You've paid off your payments, but you made some payments late. And they're still showing up on your credit report. So you can dispute this with the open when your account is still open with the credit company. Pull the credit report, step 1. Step 2, negotiate with them, right? Call the credit company and say, listen, I'll go on auto payments if you remove the late payment history. My payments have been on time. My payments have been on time now, and I'm trying to get some more credit, and your late payments are hurting me from being able to get more credit. Sometimes they will remove it, and you need to call the companies back 4, 5, 6, 7 times, right, in order to make that happen. So you want to negotiate it. Again, call back multiple times, 6, 7, 8. Sometimes you got to till you find the right person that can actually do it, because some will, some won't, and it's up to the person on that call to determine whether they will or won't. If you call 6 or 7 times and they say no, 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 that's their policy. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's why I said you never want late payments, right? That's why I say a person I deal with it. There's another portion that I teach where I talk about the different types of people that get credit. There are people that have no credit. No credit is just like bad credit. Then there's people that have bad credit. The person that has no credit is in a better position than the person that has bad credit, because the person that has bad credit usually has late payments. The person that has no credit doesn't have any payments. All they need is some credit, something on their credit report, which we will help you to be able to do. Okay? So that's extremely important as well. Now, negotiate. Again, step 3, auto payments. We talked about that. I said, ask them. We'll say, yeah. Okay, if they won't remove it after initial negotiation, say, if I go on auto payments, will you remove it? It's a lot of times they'll say yes to that. Step 4, late payment removal request letter. If you go to my site, biz.dykreditguru.com, right? I'm going to put that in the chat for you all just so you have it, right? biz.dykreditguru.com. If you go to that site, right, then what's going to happen is you'll be able to and it's clickable in the group in the chat. Okay, so hold 1 second. Can everyone still hear me? Can everyone still hear me? If you can hear me, please put it in the chat that you can hear me. We had an issue. Can you hear me? Okay, great. All right, you all can hear me. Outstanding. Wonderful. All right, great. Okay, great. No problem. We will work on your daughter's stuff, Claire. No problem. Okay. All right. So now what we want to do is, again, the late payment removal request letter. If you go there, if you go to our site, I believe you can join and you can get the full, like I've got a whole bunch of letters on my site that you can actually download that letter and the late payment removal request letter. But this is after we've already worked with the experts. You've done it. And if you've already worked with our experts and now you need this letter, then come and go to our site or contact me directly and I'll definitely make sure. I know how to do credit repair and I know how to help people in different areas. So if there's anything that won't come over something like that, you can always come back to me and ask me. And that's an added bonus you get by working with our team because I know how to clear your credit, period. I will fix your credit. Like for real. Like the experts, they're going to get it done. But anything that's remaining or something like that, or if they say we'll get it, I can get it off of there. I will work with you to make that happen for real. So you can feel very comfortable with this. Now, the late payment history, dispute process, opened or closed accounts. Okay, here's the deal. This can work for open or closed accounts. A closed account is now you went default on this account and your account was shut down. Okay. If that happens, now you want to dispute the late payment. Okay. So you're going to dispute the late payment, and we're going to do that. The experts will write you the letters to dispute the late payment to the bureaus. Okay. Dispute late payment, inaccurate information. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying you're going to dispute it just like you would any other company. The thing is, them credit bureaus, I mean, not the credit bureaus, but the credit card companies, they are a beast when it comes to accuracy. I have to give them credit on that. So that's going to be hit or miss right there. Now, if they put it in collections, you're good to go. But if there's a charge off and they're holding it, you're gonna have to deal with that, right? Dispute late payment personal info update letter. This will work. Now, the personal info update letter will work. Here's why. All credit every company has to keep up with where you're living and be able to prove that you live at where you're at. So if you have moved since that the time that you signed up for that credit card and this company doesn't know where you moved to, that's illegal. They have to keep up with you. So therefore, they must if you have a personal info update letter and then with new address information you send in that they got the wrong address and that company can't prove that and they don't have any documentation proving where you're at, then they definitely, right, that's going to come off because they have to do that. Remember, I told you you're never disputing debt, you're disputing their compliance. That's why I keep telling you your debts and your debts, excuse me, have nothing to do with what's on your credit report whatsoever. So I want you to be clear on that. So the compliance is what you're disputing at all times. You're always disputing compliance. Now, the thing is, so once you do that, so you're going to do the personal update letter, you're going to send that to the bureaus, right? And make sure that they've updated it. Then once they do that, you're going to dispute the fact that they don't have the right address. And then that's going to come off, right? So these are tactics that masters use, right? Really these are expert tactics. Step 5, freeze your LexisNexis, your SageStream, and your Innovis accounts or bureaus, right? So you have more than your TransUnion. right? Then you're experiencing your Equifax. We have LexisNexis, Sage Stream, and Innovis. You freeze these accounts because TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax will pull a lot of times from them. And if you freeze it and they can't get information, a lot of this stuff will fall off. But we allow the experts to do this. Why? Because they're going to do it right. They're not going to make mistakes. And now, if you make a mistake on this process, you might not get a chance to do it again. The other thing that I want to tell you is never dispute electronically, because when you dispute electronically, you actually give up your right. You give up your right to redispute it. So, in other words, remember I said it was a tennis match back and forth? So now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you follow the tennis match where you can go back and forth. But if you use electronic dispute, you give up your right to refute to respond. Therefore, if you send it in and they say no, this is accurate, and they lock it in, it's locked in for good. You cannot dispute that again. So we advise physical letters. That way you can go back and forth like you should be able to do versus waiving your right, to respond back and forth, right? And remember, contract law is above law. So you need to understand that, because once you sign and give up your rights and waive your rights, that is in court of law, you've legally waived your rights, right? So now, next is the once you dispute them, you're gonna wait 30 days. Okay, you're actually gonna wait 45 days. They got 45 days to respond. Okay, actually, but you're gonna wait 30 days, and then you'll be good. Really, it's 45 days though. Give them 45 days. They got 30 days to respond, but you're not gonna get a response back for about 45 days. So make it up to. Okay, so you want to wait up to 45 days on every move you make. 45 days, 45 days, 45 days. So it's going to take about 1 to 2 battles in order for you to clear your credit. But if you got late payments, you got to go back and forth, back and forth. It could take up to 5 to 6 months. So, but a lot of times I've seen this stuff fall off, especially if it's old. Now, newer stuff, you want to be wise with, because it's harder. The newer it is, the harder it is to get off. Okay, the newer, the harder. The older, the easier. Just remember that theory. The newer, the harder. The newer, the harder. The older, the easier. Okay, so now we're going to move into debt to credit ratio. Okay, this is a very important portion here as well. So debt to credit ratio is the second thing. What is it? It measures how much combined credit you have versus how much you have used. Simply, that is it, right? That's exactly what it is. It affects 30% of your credit score. This is important to understand as well. Debt to credit ratio affects 30% of your credit score. So, if you master payment history and debt to credit ratio, you actually own 65% of your credit score. But if you use up all your credit and you destroyed your payment history, you've destroyed 65% of your credit score. And this is what most people don't realize that they've done, right? This is what we have to repair. So if you get these two things mastered, you've already won. You're good. Your credit score is going to be high, right? So now the formula is your credit balance divided by your credit limit equals your debt to credit ratio. So 700, let's say I have a credit balance of 700 and my credit limit is $1,000, right? If I have a credit card that has $1,000 on it, but I've used $700 of 700, no, I'm sorry, but I've only used $300 of it. my debt to credit ratio is 70%, right? I've only used 30%. So I have 70% that I have not used. That's a very good debt to credit ratio. Okay. So that's how you determine what your debt to credit ratio is. Okay. Do we have any questions before I continue? Like I said, y'all gonna ask any questions on anything about credit, but I'm walking through this process at the same time. And while y'all thinking about anything, I'll continue. So the goal is to keep your debt to credit ratio below 30%, meaning you want to keep this number. Actually, that should be above 30%, right? In other words, you want to keep it above. You want to do this. You want this number to be high. You want this number to be higher than 30%. So in other words, if my credit balance becomes 300 and I got 1,000, that means I'm at a debt to credit ratio of 30%. That means I've used 70%, but I've got 30%. Yeah, this is right. That is right. I'm saying this backwards, and that's my fault. If my credit balance is 700 and my credit limit is 1,000, that means I've used 70% of my credit. I want to keep this number down. If I got $1,000, I want to keep this to 300. That would be 30%. I want my credit balance at 300, my credit limit at 1,000, meaning my balance is what I've used of my credit. That's what you want, right? You only want to use 30% by the end of the month. So I could use $1,000, but I need to pay off $700, so it'll be at 30%. Right. So if I had this and I used 700 by the end of the month or whenever I want to go get more credit, I need to get this down to 300. You understand what I'm saying? However, debt to credit ratio also encompasses all your credit, which I'm going to walk through in a minute, I believe. So hold 1 second. I think in this I deal with that. So let me see. If not, I'll come back to it. So the goal is to keep the debt to credit ratio below 30%. So in this one is high. We've used 70%, right? But we only want to use 30% on total credit, not per card, total credit. So debt to credit ratio benefits, very viable option for shooting up your credit score or shooting your credit score through the roof anytime you want. Why do I say that? Because if my payment history is perfect and I pay off all my debts and my credit ratio is 0%, my credit score is going to shoot up. The only reason your credit score goes down when your payment histories are good, when your payment history is good, is because you've used up too much credit. So if I pay this credit score off next month, my credit score is going to jump. My credit score could be 550 right now. If I pay all my debt off, my credit score is going to jump up next month to 800 or 750 or 760 or 800 because my payment history has been perfect. My length of credit has been long now. So, and all the accounts that I got have been paid perfectly. So on my credit report, my credit report is going to look beautiful next month once I pay my debt off. This is the power of understanding debt to credit ratio. I told you everything else you can control except payment history. You can control it, right? Lower interest rates, right? Because your credit score is going to go up, and increase credit and credit limits. Meaning if my payment history has been perfect and all my debt to credit ratio is low, like I paid everything off, now I can go get more credit limit, which does what? Increases my debt to credit ratio availability. Let me show you what I mean by that, or variance. Let me show you what I mean by that. Debt to credit ratio solutions. How to control credit. So no credit, bad credit, good credit, and excellent credit are optional, right? So no credit, bad credit, good credit. I'm going to walk through this process. So here we go. I'm not going to deal with the secure card right now. I'm not going to deal with that right now. I'm going to skip that. So how to control credit, good credit or excellent credit. If you have good credit or excellent credit, this is what you want to do in order to make sure that your debt to credit ratio is in good standing. Pay down your credit card. So what do I mean? Let me break this down to you. Let me break this down to you real quick. How to control no credit. If you have no credit, that means you never had credit before. You don't have nothing on your credit report. It's like bad credit, except you're blessed because you don't have any bad payment history. Bad credit means you had good credit, but you messed it up. That's harder to deal with than no credit. Good credit means usually your payments and everything are on time. You don't have many inquiries. Usually a person with good credit won't have any inquiries because they're afraid to go get new credit because they've learned their lesson on inquiries, but there's a way to utilize inquiries that is going to be beneficial to you, but they usually won't have it, right? These are the people that this is how you know somebody that got good credit. You'll be like, what's your credit score? They'll be like, man, I got good credit. They'll be like, well, why don't you get this for me? They'll be like, no, you ain't messing up my credit. That's the person with good credit because they understand that you can mess up their credit. They got good credit, right? So good credit, a person with good credit, that's the type of person. And the person with excellent credit, right, is a person with a credit score that's in the 800s or above usually, right? Like 780, 790, 800, 830, 850. These people got excellent credit, okay? And most people that got excellent credit truly understand credit and how it works. They really do. Actually, they use their credit properly, okay? And so that's where we want to get to. And it's optional to get there, but I advise people to get there, right? We want to get to excellent credit because the wealthy do what? They what? The wealthy master credit, right? And this is key. The wealthy master credit. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're mastering our credit. Okay. So now, so we got the excellent credit there, right? So now the next thing that we want to look at is what are the steps for a person that has good or excellent credit? A person that has good or excellent credit, what you want to do is pay down your credit cards, right? You want to make sure that your debt to credit ratio is below the 30%. Now, let me explain something to you when it comes to the debt to credit ratio. Debt to credit ratio is not based on each individual card. There's not an individual debt to credit ratio. So if I have a card that's $1,000 and I have another card with $1,000 on it also, I have $2,000 in overall credit. My debt to credit ratio now, if I want to keep it under 30%, means I can't spend, I have the most I can spend is $600 because $300 on one card equals 30%. $300 on the other card equals 30% on that card. However, because I've got both of them together, it actually $300 on this card equals 15% of my overall credit. So now I can spend up to $600. If I've got $5,000 worth of credit, right? 30% of $5,000 worth of credit would be what? 10% would be a 5,000 would be 500, right? 10%. So I could spend up to $1,500 of overall credit. You understand? So it's not based on individual, like I need to only be 30% on this card and only 30% on this card and only 30% on this card. No, 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 no. It's whatever your overall credit. I might have a loan that I borrowed $10,000 or $50,000. That's a part of my overall credit. You understand? So whatever your overall credit is, you want to keep that under 30%. Some will say 20%. Some will say 10%. But it doesn't matter because you're not looking to spend credit anyway. You're using credit to build that. See how I got $10,000 worth of credit? They'll consider that an asset. They'll consider that, oh, you got $10,000 worth of money. See how I'm building? That's what the wealthy do. They're mastering credit. They're building their leverage to use it against something else. They might be able to get a loan against that. They might be able to, there's certain things that they can do that you're able to do with your credit, right? Once you master that. Hold 1 second for me. I want to make sure. Now, pay down any loans. If you got any loans that are outstanding, remember we're talking about overall credit. So if you got any outstanding loans, you need to pay them down because that goes into what? Your overall credit, right? What else? Apply for credit card increases. Why? Because that increases your overall credit. We ain't spending credit. We're going to utilize the balance to do what? Increase it. Now, this is what I do want you to know. Once you learn how to use this properly, on every one of your credit cards, like you might have 7 or 8 credit cards, but you want to put a bill on each one of those that you pay regularly. Like you know you're going to have the money for it, but you want to pay this bill off, or you want to buy something small, like something that might cost $10 or $5 or something, and pay it off. Because if not, they will cancel that credit card. So you can divide your bills. If you got an internet bill, you got a cable bill, you got a phone bill, you got a gas and electric bill, you got a water bill, split them up on cards and pay them on those cards because that's going to shoot your credit score up. And then what's going to happen is you can increase your credit card balances, right? And now your debt to credit ratio looks good. You can put, you got all this money just sitting there, right? That you're not using, right? And now you can leverage that to do other things. That's going to shoot your credit score up, right? And then do not use increased credit amount, meaning so once you get the credit card increase, don't use that credit card increase amount. Let that credit card increase amount lower your debt to credit ratio percentage. And that right there, that's a win, 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 right? So this is extremely powerful information right here. So debt to credit income ratio, one of the biggest factors in determining whether you get approved for a loan. It is debt to income ratio, rather, excuse me, is one of the biggest factors in determining whether you get approved for a loan. This is called the DTI. Right? The DTI. Now, I want you to understand what's the beautiful thing is we now have a program where your DTI doesn't matter. We're going to get you in a house anyway. Right? So your credit isn't going to matter. Your DTI is not going to matter. So again, if you're interested in getting a house, right, you can text more or you can text home to 833-740-2315. Okay? So that's very important to understand as well. All right? So now what's next? Next, we're going to move into length of credit. So 15% of the calculation of your credit score, right, is length of credit. All right. Do we have any questions on anything that I've spoken on so far? If you do, please put them in the chat. I don't care if you're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You know, any of you all can put in any question that you want. If you have any questions for now, I'm going to continue until I see something pop in there. Length of credit, 15% of the calculation of your credit score, right? 15% length of credit. After length of credit, that's important. Age of open accounts, age of your oldest account, age of your newest account, average age of all of your accounts. All of this goes into the determination of length of credit. It only hits 15% of the calculation of your credit score. However, I want you to be clear. It can be a determining factor again when they're underwriting, meaning they're literally looking at your credit report. Okay? So I want you to understand that right there is important to get. Okay. All right. Real quick, I'm going to break for station identification, which will take about 3 minutes, if that. And then I'm coming right back. Okay. All right, guys. So we are on workshop 5, credit repair. You can ask any questions that you want. Feel free. We're delving deep into the subject. If you missed our other uh, uh, platforms, we had our workshops. Rather, we had understanding money. You can see all of these live on YouTube. You can see it on our Facebook. You can see it on our Twitch. We will have understanding money, right, and our LinkedIn, right. So we have the workshop 1, understanding money. This was very important. We walked through our spreadsheet, right? And when we walked through our spreadsheet, we were actually showing you the difference between an income, expense, asset, liability, investments, and what the wealthy actually have, which is interest payments coming in. And we walked through that, and we walked through that in detail so that you can understand why the majority of individuals are not wealthy. And it was an extremely powerful series, or workshop that we had there. After that, we had our workshop on legally avoid taxes, how to get your taxes down to 0% like the wealthy. That was extremely powerful. We did a historical treatise, and then we went into how to actually legally avoid taxes. I'm going to get deep into that when we get into part 6, where we're talking about protect your family. That workshop will be coming up this Friday at, I believe, no, excuse me. Yeah, it will be this Tuesday. I'm sorry, coming up, um, right at 8:30 p.m. That's going to be a powerful piece as well. The next thing, which is our next workshop, as well. We also went into our become your own bank. If you missed this workshop, it was a 4-part workshop. This workshop was extremely powerful. We did 3 days, excuse me, of a historical treatise of the history of banking. And then we went into becoming your own bank and why you wanted to become your own bank. Okay. And when I deal with putting it all together, which will be our last workshop, well, excuse me, that's home ownership. But when I do putting it all together, apologize, which will be our last workshop, which will be Sunday of next week, the 30th, right? That next, not this Sunday coming up, but the following Sunday, you will really be ready to get started with becoming your own bank. And then we will also have our home ownership. You keep hearing me talk about home ownership with no credit check, right? We're not worried about your DTI. This is going to be an extremely powerful workshop as well. So I'm hoping you're enjoying this workshop, the credit repair workshop, right? And so we're going to continue where we left off in our workshop so that everyone can get an opportunity to increase and better their credit. And so text more to 833-740-2315. Like our page, whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube or whatever. Subscribe so you get updates when we go live, as well as it helps us to be able to share this with more people. Share this with everyone. If you're listening to it, feel free to do whatever it is that you normally do. Listen to this like a podcast over and over and over again. Listen to these concepts, because as we do it, it's going to change your language. You're going to start thinking differently, working differently, and then you'll begin to become and walk as the wealthy. And so as we move forward, we're going beyond credit so that we are able to, in 2024, actually begin to be wealthy, and we should be starting our journeys in 2023. So with that, we will continue. Again, we're on length of credit. We left off on age of open accounts. We dealt with that, and it's dealing with 15% calculation of your credit score. Okay. So let's continue. And so we're going to continue now. We're looking at the longer an account is open, the more experience you have as a creditor, right? That's what they're looking at. This is what they believe. So they believe that the longer an account is open, the more experience you have as a creditor, a perceived lower risk to creditors. So you become a perceived lower risk to creditors, right? Meaning that you actually are now not as much of a credit risk as someone that has less credit. Now watch this. What if we mastered length of credit, and we mastered payment history, and we mastered debt to credit ratio? That's 30, that's 65 plus 15%. We're at 80% of our credit score we done mastered. You see how easy this is? This ain't hard. It's real easy. The hardest part is the hardest part is first finding, are you no credit, or are you bad credit? Are you good credit, or are you excellent credit? Right? If you're no credit or bad, if you're no credit, it's easy. If you're bad credit, we got to wipe everything, clean you up, and then it becomes easy. If you're good credit, all we have to do is add some things and get some things in place, right? Check your debt to credit ratio. Can we add some things to your credit that is going to actually help boost that score due to length of credit or anything like that that can get you up into excellent credit? How are you making your payments? Can we change the way that you make your payments that is going to actually lower your debt and then also increase your credit score at the same time, right? So these are the things that we want to do. These are the things that the experts are going to look at, and these are the things that we're going to look at to make sure that you're comfortable. And if you want to actually have a consultation with me, feel free to text more at 833-740-2315, right? So again, the other thing, length of credit, open several accounts at the same time. Now this right here is powerful. When I deal with length of credit and I deal with credit, right? Period. When we deal with credit, period, you're going to put a plan together where you're going to open several accounts at the same time. But this is what you get in the credit cards, but you're not going to use the credit. You're going to create a credit, your credit, your credit balances, right? Or not your credit balances, but your credit availability, right? So for instance, if I open 5 accounts and each one of those accounts give me $2,000 to $3,000 of credit, I'm going to have anywhere from what? 5 accounts, $10,000 to $15,000 of overall credit available to me. That's why you want to do them at the same time, because your credit score is not going to get hit by what we're going to talk about in a minute called inquiries until after you've done this. So you can get some credit quickly all at one time. That's why we put a plan together. Most people don't do that, but we put a plan together to make sure that when you go to get credit, that you're doing it properly. Okay. In the future, it will benefit you greatly. In the long run, your average age of accounts will be longer. Okay. And that's just going to take time to build. But don't worry, it's nothing, because you're building your payment. Remember, this is only 15%. Your payment history is perfect, so you're at 35%, and your debt to credit ratio is outstanding, so you got 35%. So 65% of your credit is good, right? And you were approved because we already fixed your credit. We made sure that everything that you're going to get approved for. Therefore, you know you're going in with approval, and inquiries only hurt your credit when you don't get approved. But most people, they don't have a plan, so they go in somewhere, they got a 550 or 600 credit score trying to get something. Now they got inquiries that they weren't approved for, and this tears their credit to shreds. So inquiries hurt your credit. Okay, so you don't want to get a bunch of inquiries. All right, that's very important. Okay, so let's continue. Now, do length of credit. Do not close accounts that have long payment history. This is important. This is very, very important. I don't care if you have bad payment history with these companies, right? You might only need to keep one on there or two. A lot of times, one or two companies that have long payment history is enough to get over anything, like one a lot of times, right? So if you have long payment history, but you have bad payment history with this company, even if you close the account, that payment history is not going to disappear for 7 years unless that company makes an agreement with you that if you pay them off, you will then they'll take the bad payment history off of there. So what you want to do is keep that account open, but you want to pay that debt off, right? You want to pay that debt off because now we're dealing back to what? Debt to credit ratio. We want to pay that debt off to zero, but we want to keep them on there because they're going to give you payment history. And that's a very good thing. Even because the bad payment history is going to stay on there, even if you close or do not close the account. So you don't have a charge off. Remember, when an account is closed, that's considered a charge off. And remember, charge offs are one of the worst things you can have on your credit report. So if the account is open, you've paid them off, and now you got the long payment history as the benefit, right? You still look good. So there's a balancing act there, right? Now, the next thing we want to look at is, I don't know why I didn't click, inquiries, right? So inquiries is our next thing, okay? And we want to understand inquiries, right? They're important. When you apply for credit, you authorize those lenders to ask or inquire for a copy of your credit report from a credit bureau. So the first thing that I want you to get on an inquiry is they're pulling from the credit bureau literally, right? I want you to get that. That is not free. They pay for that. When you later check your credit report, you may notice that their credit inquiries are listed. Okay. So when they're pulling directly from your credit report from the credit bureaus, there's going to be added an inquiry on there. Okay. The only inquiries that count towards your FICO score are the ones that result from your applications for new credit. So that means whenever you are getting new credit, there will be an inquiry. There's a difference between a pre-approval and an approval for credit, which I think we're going to discuss. So I'm going to discuss it right here. Hard pull. A hard pull is what you just read. A hard pull is when they're going to pull directly from the credit bureau. The soft pull is when they're not. These are pre-approval, right? Here's how you know the difference between a pre-approval and a hard pull. If I go to a department store and they're having me fill out a form, or they're saying, listen, if you get this card, we're going to give you you're going to be able to get this at a cheaper rate, or we're going to give you a discount or whatever. That means you're getting the credit right then. That is a hard pull. Because if you ask them, are you doing a hard pull? Is it going to be an inquiry on my credit report? They're going to say, we don't know, or we don't think so. Well, I'm letting you know it is. Why? Because you're going to get the credit card if that goes through. If that says yes, you're going to get the credit card right then, right? I want you to understand that. That is very important to get, okay? This is key to understanding this. All right. Now, a soft pull is like this. You might get a pre-approval letter in the mail. They did a soft pull on you to say, we know that at this time when we sent this letter, you could get your credit repaired. If you go online and it says pre-approval, this will not affect your credit score. And then what happens is you put your information in, and then it says these cards are the ones that you can more than likely get. These cards. That is pre-approved. That's a soft pull. You're not getting the card. You have to go through another stage of the process to actually get the card. That is a soft pull. But when you actually go to get that card, and usually, and the good thing about the pre-approvals is if the pre-approval says that you will get that card, I have never filled out one of those and it told me I would get the card and I didn't get the card. So if it's a pre-approval and it's a soft pull and it says these cards you can get those cards. That's a good thing now, because remember, the hard pulls that you don't get, those are the ones that really hurt you. So hard inquiries such as actively applying for a new credit card or mortgage will affect your score, as we talked about. Whatever you're going to, a car, anything like that, anything you're going to get once they pull it, if they pull it and you're going to get it, that means it's a hard pull. Right. So examples of a hard inquiries: you go car shopping and apply for financing at the car dealership and they pull a credit report on you. That's a hard one. You get a pre-approved credit card offer in the mail and respond to the offer. Remember, it's already been pre-approved. They did the soft pull already. Now you're going to get the credit, right? That's where the problem comes in. That's where the hard pull comes in. You contact your credit card company and request a line increase. The company pulls a fresh credit report on you to help determine if they will grant the line increase. Okay, so those are hard pulls. Why? Because if it goes through, you're going to get the increase. If this goes through, right, when you respond to it in the mail, you're going to get the card. When you go car shopping and apply for financing, you're going to get the car if it goes through. These are called hard pulls. Now, let me tell you something. The beautiful thing about car shopping is if you go, I think it's within a 30-day period. I believe it's 30 days. Within a 30-day period, and you're car shopping and you get you get several inquiries on there from car shopping, whichever car you end up getting, it will collapse to one, basically, in the mindset of the algorithm. It'll collapse to one, like you only went after one car and only had one hard inquiry. But if you don't get the car, if you go car shopping and none of them accept you, those are like multiple. So you definitely never ever want to run your credit and you don't get what it is you're running the credit for. Okay. Now, a soft pull, soft inquiries such as viewing your own credit report will not affect your FICO score. Examples of a soft pull: your bank gets an updated FICO score on all its customers to check the credit quality of its customer base. You got a new job and your employer pulled your credit report as part of its employee screening process. Pre-approval for credit cards, right? So these things do not hit you. Those are literally soft pulls. You're not getting anything out of it. It's not even going to show up on your credit report. Soft pulls do not show up on your credit report. Hard pulls are the only thing that show up on your credit report. So how do inquiries affect my credit score? FICO's research shows that opening several credit accounts in a short period of time represents greater credit risk, right? When the information on your credit report indicates that you have been applying for multiple new credit lines in a short period of time, as opposed to rate shopping for a single loan, your FICO scores can be lowered as a result. Now, here's what I want you to get. Not really. That's not absolutely true. I won't agree with that. Here's what I'm saying. Now, a rate shopping for a single loan, that's fine. That's what I was talking about. If you go to multiple car or you go into multiple homes and they got to run your credit maybe multiple times, that's okay because you're only getting one house or one car. What they're saying is if I go get this credit card or that credit card and this credit card and that credit card, that's going to be it's going to lower your credit. It's not really. Because what's going to happen is once you get those credit cards, after 2 months, your score is going to shoot back up. Because those credit inquiries, even though they can stay on your account for 2 years, they're usually not going to stay on your account for 2 years. Okay? I want you to get that. They're usually not going to stay on your account for 2 years. They're only going to stay on your account for 1 year. Okay? So I want you to get that and understand that. Okay? So here's the key thing that I want you to get, that they're only going to stay on your account for like 2 months, but they'll show up possibly, but they're not going to hurt your score. So I don't agree with that. I agree, get a like, especially if you got good credit and you've already got things established, I'll agree with that. But if you have no credit or bad credit, nah, you want to get as many cards as possible. People with 800 scores, 800 credit scores usually have 7 to 8 credit cards. 7 to 8. So you want to start off with like 3, 4, 5 credit cards. That ain't gonna hurt you in the long run at all, in no form or fashion. You ain't got to worry about that. Now, if you got good credit and you're already there, you don't need. I would like, you might want to do 1 or 2 credit cards here, 1 or 2 credit cards there. Cool, but it still ain't gonna hurt you either, you know. But I understand what they're saying. Immediately, you might see a drop, but after the next 2 months, your score is going right back up. Although FICO scores only consider inquiries from the last 12 months, inquiries remain on your credit report for 2 years. Okay. And FICO scores, for me, it only did it for 2 months, but they do sit on there for 2 years. And again, you can get inquiries off, which I think I'm going to talk about in here as well. If you apply, if you apply for several credit cards within a short period of time, multiple inquiries will appear on your credit report. Looking for new credit can equate with higher risk, but most credit scores are not affected by multiple inquiries from auto, mortgage, or student loan lenders within a short period of time. Typically, these are treated as single inquiry, as I talked about already, and will have little impact on your credit scores. It will have a little impact, right? Now, next, the impact from applying for credit will vary from person to person based on their unique credit histories. In general, credit inquiries have a small impact on your FICO score. For most people, one additional credit inquiry will take less than 5 points off their FICO score. No, it will. I've seen it take 20 to 30 points off of it. I don't agree with that. I've seen that mug take it down, but after 2 months, it's going to shoot up. It's going to go back to normal, but it can take it down. But we don't care because we got everything we wanted. And that's why I said you go in with a plan first, right? So we're going to go in with a plan first. For perspective, the full range for FICO score is 300 to 850. Inquiries can have a greater impact if you have a few accounts or short credit history. Large numbers of inquiries also mean greater risk. Statistically, people with 6 inquiries or more on their credit reports can be up to 8 times more likely to declare bankruptcy than people with no inquiries on their credit reports, right? But that's because they're not going with a plan. What they're doing is they're going around trying to get credit and they got bad credit. So they're just trying to, they're doing, what they're doing is they're at the casino playing with their credit, right? So they're like, oh, I'm gonna go here and see if I can get credit. Nope, I'm gonna try it here, I'm gonna try it there, I'm gonna try it there. They're doing a crapshoot. And hopefully somebody says yes. That's why they're saying that. Because a person with good credit, they're usually afraid of inquiries. But inquiries aren't bad as long as you're going to get what it is that you're getting. They're bad when you don't get it. So if you got good credit, you have no reason to be afraid of an inquiry. If you got bad credit, then you got reason to be afraid of an inquiry. You need to go get your credit repaired. You need to come to us and get that credit repaired so that you're able to now get the inquiry off. I mean, so that you can now go get credit. And that's what people don't do. They just go in and just do anything and try to be greedy. They don't know no better. I won't say that. They're not trying to be greedy. They're not trying to do anything. They just don't know any better. Statistically, people with 6 inquiries or more on their credit reports can be up to 8 times more likely to declare bankruptcy than people with no inquiries on their reports. While inquiries often can play a part in assessing risk, they play a minor part. They are only 10% of what makes up your FICO score. So again, the only time inquiries are really going to hurt you, right, is if you're going to get a house or a car or a big loan where an underwriter is looking at it. but it doesn't matter because that stuff is going to fall off. They're not really going to, that's not going to mean anything. Much more important factors for your scores are how timely you pay your bills, payment history, as I stated before, and your overall debt burden, which is your debt to credit ratio, as indicated on your credit report. Therefore, if you keep your payment history immaculate, you keep your debt to credit ratio good, and you have length of credit or time with good credit, you are good to go. Right? All right, April has a question. What is your question, April? Go ahead. Let's get to your question. I know you said bankruptcy is not good for you. Not good for you. No, I'm going to repeat. Bankruptcy is credit destruction, not credit repair. I'm going to say that again. Bankruptcy is credit destruction, not credit repair, especially in this season. Why? What do I mean by that? And that is an excellent question that you put there, right? So, what do I mean by that when I say that? Bankruptcy, okay, is okay. There used to be bankruptcy where it wiped everything away. You didn't owe the companies any longer. Like you literally wiped everything and you started over. That could be a good thing. It's still credit destruction, but you don't owe any bills, right? Now, when you do bankruptcy now, you still owe those companies, right? You still got to pay them, right? The ones that show up to like if you run a bankruptcy and those companies show up, you got to pay those companies. They don't have the chapter anymore where you don't have to pay them anymore. So that's over. That bankruptcy is finished, right? So I don't see any reason to do bankruptcy, but you can start over at zero, but your credit report is going to have bankruptcy on the credit report. So my thing is, who do you owe? Are those things on your credit report? And can we get those things off of your credit report? Because if we can get those things off your credit report, we just saved you money, massive money, with having to do a bankruptcy and get you a lawyer, right, to do a bankruptcy. B, your credit is good now. And C, you don't have to pay those people back unless you want to. So why would you do a bankruptcy instead of just getting your credit repaired? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It would be very, very rare, very rare. If I can get foreclosures off of your credit report, if I can get foreclosures off of your credit report, right? If I can get foreclosures off your credit report, then what I'm saying, whatever chapter, hold on 1 second. If I can get foreclosures off your bank, if I can get foreclosures off of your credit report, right? Why in the world would I do a bankruptcy? If I can get everything off your credit report. So we start with credit repair. Bankruptcy is automatic credit destruction because they're going to put that on you. That's going on your credit report, bankruptcy, right? Nobody wants to touch anybody and give them any credit with a bankruptcy. So you just lost all ways to credit unless we get the bankruptcy off, which is possible. I've done it. It's been done. But is it easy? No. So if you don't have a bankruptcy, don't destroy your credit to try to get it fixed. Let's fix your credit, which will be easier, and get your credit up and running, and you're good to go. So whatever chapter used to be where you didn't owe, this happened years ago. I remember when they were doing it. This happened at least 10, 15 years ago when they got rid of the chapter where you don't have to pay the people that you owe back. So it's like it would be the equivalent of doing credit repair. No, it would be the equivalent of credit repair, except you're destroying your credit. and then you have to pay the bill. That doesn't even make sense. The only person that wins in bankruptcy, in my opinion, are the creditors. You don't win at all. Not in the bankruptcy they got today. I don't see that. I could be wrong. Somebody could debate me down because I haven't, all I know is I wouldn't do it. And I know that people that have done it wish they didn't every time I talk to somebody who's done it and I got to deal with their credit. Now, the people that have not done it that were going to do it seem much happier when we get done repairing their credit versus them going into bankruptcy, and they're so glad that they didn't do the bankruptcy versus doing it. That's the proof that I have. Now, whether it's a good thing to do a bankruptcy or not, that's to be seen. But we're gonna move forward. So that was an excellent question. Okay. So now we're gonna move forward. It says much more important factors for your scores are how timely you pay your bills and your overall debt burden as indicated in your credit report. Okay. Yeah, you did it twice, but now you've repaired your credit, so you're good. So inquiries affect 10% of your credit score, right? Inquiries affect 10% of your credit score. All right. That's nothing, right? 10%. All right. So the 65 plus the 15, we're at what? 80? No, we're at 80%. Yeah. And then this is 10%. Now, hard pulls are the only inquiries that affect your score. Soft pulls are harmless to your credit score. Soft pulls do not show up on your credit report. Inquiries stay on your credit report for 10 years. Companies can use inquiries against you for 2 years, excuse me. Companies can use inquiries against you when applying for credit, and they can. But remember, those are the major companies, not like regular companies, okay? Now, next. Apologize. I don't know why it's not going. There we go. Types of credit. This is the next thing. So we're at 90%, right? So 35 plus 30, 35% for payment history, 30% for 35% for payment history, 30% for debt to credit ratio, 15% for length of credit, 10% for inquiries, and now we're at types of credit. So types of credit. Installment loans, revolving and open. These are the three different types of credit: installment, revolving, and open. Okay. Now, installment credit is a type of loan in which you borrow one lump sum and repay it with interest and regular fixed payments or installments over a certain amount of time. Once an installment credit loan is paid off in its entirety, the account is considered closed, right? So, what would be the example of an installment, right? It could be anything, like it could be a loan, it could be a mortgage, right? It could be uh it could be the car payment, right? These are installment type payments, okay? Mortgages, auto loans, personal loans, student loans, all of them are types of installment, right? Revolving credit accounts allow you to repeatedly borrow and repay amounts from a single line of credit up to a maximum limit, right? You're in control of over how much you borrow and ultimately need to pay back. Interest is charged on any balance remaining after each statement's due date. So it's possible to avoid ever paying interest if you pay your balance in full each month. As long as you make all your payments on time, payment history, right? The account will remain open indefinitely until you choose to close it. So what do we see like that? Credit cards, right? A home equity line of credit can also do that. That's again where, remember, home ownership takes your at your the a person's net worth from 5,000 to 200,000. This is you can borrow against that, a home equity line of credit, right? And so that's what that's talking about. I want you to be clear. Open credit. Open credit is unique in that monthly payments vary and balances are due in full at the end of each billing cycle. Your electricity bill is a great example of open credit. The amount due depends on how much electricity you use that month. You're expected to pay the entire bill with a certain number of days after receiving it. And I'll tell you, American Express, in my opinion, falls into this category because you have to pay off your entire amount that you owe on American Express. You cannot hold a balance like you can on credit cards. So American Express is more of an open credit style, whereas MasterCard, all of them are installment credit. I mean, excuse me, not installment, but what's that? Revolving. Yeah, revolving credit cards, right? So that's the difference. Now, open credit. Many utility bills, gas, electric, water, cable, cell phone service, and like I said, I would say American Express falls into that category. They might throw it in revolving, but it's not revolving. It's open credit. It's like a bill, literally, because it has to be paid off. Okay. So that's very important to recognize. And then again, you guys are welcome to visit my link tree because that will do the end of that presentation. So the link tree, you're welcome to visit that. That is, and I'm going to put that in the link as well. Link tr.ee linktree / do it myself credit, right? And that link will take you to my link tree, and it will have all the links that will actually get you to any of the services that we provide. And you can contact us again by texting more to 833-740-2315 if you want to set up a consultation as well. So with that, we're going to move into the last portion of this, which is going to be question and answers, and we're going to look at our chart. Okay, so we're going to look at our chart, and I apologize, I didn't mean to bring it down. Hold 1 second, that was an accident. There we go. You should be able to see it now, right? Oh, 1 second. Why are you playing games with me? There we go. And yes, you can. So again, with the chart, we got the income, we got the expense, we got the cash on hand, we got our accounts, right? We got our liabilities, assets, investments, and interest. Now, a credit card, right? If you use it wrong, is a liability. The amount that you use is always a liability, but even if you use it wrong, it's a liability. However, if you build up your credit card balances, you will end up, they can be an asset to you. Not balances, excuse me. Your credit card, what do they call that? I don't know why that's not on my head right now. Not your balance, but your credit card, it's like an allowance, but amount. I'm just going to use amount for now. The amount that your credit card is worth. If you do that, that can become an asset that you can then what? Leverage, because you're leveraging it as a liability to be able to bring you in. It's not an asset. I'm sorry. It's not an asset. I take that back. It will be cash on hand. Right? Now, amount. I apologize. It's not an asset. It'll be the amount that you pay will be a liability because it's something you can pay off, right? And then the expense will be what you pay on it monthly. Okay, so it will be here, it will be here. Your balance, your credit card balance will go in the liability. Your monthly credit card payment will go here in expense, right? And that's what it would look like. So the credit card amount, right, would go here. So this becomes cash on hand, basically. This becomes a liability when you owe, and this becomes an expense. However, what do we do with cash on hand? With cash on hand, we want to find a way to put it over in here, don't we? In these accounts. We want to find a way to get that money over here that's going to give us APY, right? So what we want to do is we want to turn this, we want to buy assets with this that are going to make more money than my monthly payment here, right? And is going to be able to pay this off before the interest hits. We want to pay off the liability, right, before the interest hits. So we want to make we want to make sure we're making our monthly payment and the credit card balance, and this is going to bring us what? Cash flow. So we buy assets that are going to bring us cash flow that we can put into this account to give us interest payments. That's the power of it. Or we just want to build up as many credit card balances as we can over here, right? We want as many credit card balances over here, right? Hold on one second. Let me do this. We want as many of these here, right, as possible so that we can do what? Then take that and have a credit card balance. Excuse me. Then we can take that and we don't have no credit card balances. We've got all of this built up. Our credit then goes up, right? And we're good in anything that we buy with our interest amount, with our money, which is our interest. Anything we buy for our lifestyle, it is lower. Any investments we buy, we are able to get it lower. Any assets that we buy with our cash flow, right? Any assets we buy with our cash flow or investments we buy with our cash flow, we get the lowest rate possible. So we can use it both ways, right? So we don't spend credit. We only spend interest for our lifestyle. We invest credit, right, to buy investments and assets that are going to pay us more than we end up owing in our liability on our credit card balance or our credit card expense. And that is the power. That's how we use loans and everything. Everything that we do, we always have to do the math first to make sure we're going to win. And we're going to get more into the math when we get into some more books, deeper books, as far as we're in Rich Dad, Poor Dad right now. But we're going to get into some deeper books dealing with the process once we get through Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because you need that simple process. We're going to then move to Cash Flow Quadrant, which is going to go a little bit deeper. Then we're going to get into Guide on Investing, which is going to go a bit deeper. But you'll be ready for it because you've already got the concepts that will take you step by step through the process. Okay. So with that, again, we're going to go ahead and see if there's any questions. Does anybody have any questions on anything that we talked about this evening, or you might have a personal situation that you're working on credit that I can answer? And if not, we will go ahead and we will close out this workshop. Did you find value? Did anybody find value in this workshop? If you did, please let us know. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please feel free. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. This is our link tree. All right. And you are welcome to go there as well. All right. So with that, guys, I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate you. I had an outstanding evening with you all. I really, really enjoyed myself. Really, really glad that I was able to share this with you all. I think we had a tremendous workshop tonight. And for those of you, we will be doing some things in the future that's going to help with cash flow as well. Again, remember tomorrow night, we will have, not tomorrow night, excuse me, next Tuesday, our next workshop, we are going to have, not that one. I apologize. We're going to have Workshop 6, protect your family. Okay. 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8:30, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that'll be 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Super excited about that. And I am looking forward to seeing you all there. I'm looking forward to seeing you all also at the top, and not from the top, but at the top with me. And I love you all with the perfect love, and there is nothing you can do about it. And we might have a bonus workshop tomorrow night.